Morning Glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. I'm Hugh at Bret, Baier, host of Special Report every night at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Fox News Channel, and also co-moderator of the first presidential debate, joins me. Good morning, Bret. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Hugh.
This is the post-game show, and the color analysts are beating up on the coach. And I've been watching people beat up on you and Martha. I thought it was well done. I particularly loved the first question. Would you tell us the story behind Richmond, north of Richmond, and how it came to be the first question?
Yeah, we had a meeting about what we were trying to get to the heart of. We knew economy was going to be first. We knew that concerns of people, despite what the president was saying on the trail about Bidenomics and how people felt at home at their kitchen table, really was the heart of the issue. And nothing captured that more than that song. Now, we weren't trying to do anything about, saying what the song meant, whether it was political or not. We just thought that it really captured some concern and some visceral fear about what's happening, and that people are fed up and frustrated. And so I mentioned that in the meeting. We thought about it. We said, man, it'd be great if we could play the song. We then asked permission to run the song, and Oliver and Anthony and his people gave us permission. So that was the genesis of it. I was not upset. I was surprised that no candidate kind of took the visceral, emotional part of the song and went with it and said, this is what this talks about. But they had their own, thoughts.
They all seven swings and a miss. It's the perfect. Yeah. It's a hanging curve. But you've got to be willing to be nimble from the start, and they were all a little bit frozen there. I got to say, it's wonderful because it captured the zeitgeist. And I learned before you ever sit down to play trivia, make sure you check the baseball, football standings, whatever, and find out what's hot on the charts because you're going to get asked. And apparently no one did debate prep on that, Bret. That's my conclusion. A lot of people had no idea, although Ron DeSantis worked the name of the song back into his answer, but they all didn't really touch the underlying message of the tune.
Yeah, and the purpose of the thing was, hey, listen, Washington is 100 miles north of Richmond.
Yes.
This is about politicians. This is about people who are controlling other people. This is about people who are not listening to, the forgotten man, as we saw in 2016. And it's happening again. It's just on a different issue.
Now, the next data point I got to give you is I know one person who was watching Special Report on Friday night, and it was President Trump, because he wasn't happy with my candidate casino. When I put 40 on Trump and 40 on DeSantis and 10 on Nikki and 10 on the field. And I heard about it from him. And I'm sorry, I got to factor in the fact that his trials are coming up. And then yesterday, this judge sets a trial date for the eve of Super Tuesday. What is your reaction to that, Bret? What did people say on the show last night?
Well, I think it's hard to avoid the linkage. And I did this big calendar where I just put up the legal dates and then the political dates. And it's really striking. It's clearly right in the middle of all of this. Now, yes, you got to face some music at some time, but the calendar and what you're running for president the next day is Super Tuesday. It's kind of I think a lot of people think it's egregious. And the judge had the negotiation point was January of 2024 or April of 2026. And the negotiation was March of 2024. There wasn't really a lot of give on the defense.
No, and I believe it was a gift to the Trump lawyers when it comes to the transfer of trial motion called change of venue at state courts, but transfer of trial in the federal rules. And I believe they will bring this up because, Bret, I cannot believe that they would allow this to go forward. The unfortunate thing is in the District of Columbia, and I'm licensed there, so I can speak with a little bit of authority there. The rules are you can only change for venue purposes on jury bias after you've been unable to seat a jury. And that goes back to the Haldeman case in the 70s. And I believe that rule does not apply here. I just think we're in ungoverned territory. Do Professors Turley and Andy McCarthy, do they all believe that we're in uncharted territory here and that the highest court has got to get involved quickly?
Yeah, I think they do. I don't know if it's how quick it's going to be, but there's definitely a case here to be made about timing and kind of the swamp of all of these cases all at once and affecting, a federal candidate for office. I think that we are in uncharted territory, and there's a lot of different legal opinions. But if you just step back and think about practicality, it doesn't seem like it's lining up.
No, there's an old case as well, U.S. v. Clinton, on a civil side that says you've got to take account of the fact that he's president when you're scheduling. Well, I think they've got to take account that he's a presidential candidate and a president when they're scheduling, but we'll see. Bret, I want to turn to the other race. In the Wall Street Journal this morning, the headline is surprising but accurate. The race to succeed President Biden is heating up on the 2024 campaign trail. High-profile governors are unlikely to cede the stage to Kamala Harris in 2028. That's actually not the real lead. I don't think they think he's running, and I don't think Gavin Newsom is going to step aside if, after a nice win in South Carolina, the president of the United States says, I'm too old for this stuff. They're not going to give it to Kamala Harris. Do you agree with me on that?
I agree with you on that. And I think that that's all this positioning with Gavin Newsom, the whispers of others. I think that is in the back of their mind. Now, the Biden people will tell you, no, that's 100% wrong. But, a couple of times where he has not a great speech in Maui and he has kind of more and more troubles articulating policy, they can point to successes all they want, but it is within their own Democratic Party where these polls are 70, 30 against him running.
So if I put my Machiavellian hat on, if you want to go out a winner, the president wins South Carolina. That's his home base. Might not have done so in New Hampshire. Then he bows out. And I think Governor Newsom is the prohibitive favorite. And I don't know that anybody disagrees with that if they're being honest with you. But I don't think anyone will talk to you about it on the Democratic side, will they?
Not really. No, privately they'll acknowledge that he's in pole position. But then, you get your folks who say, oh, well, Michelle Obama could step in. I think that that's a long shot, and anybody who in the Obama circles still says that she has no interest in doing that, but her name continues to bubble up.
But there's Gretchen Whitmer and there's Roy Cooper. There are a lot of very competent Democratic governors who are not crazy. Jared Polis in Colorado. Yeah, there are a bunch of them. Are you going to, as a newsman and a fair newsman, are you going to cover who might step in if the president steps aside, or is that something that's too speculative and too, by itself, controversial to raise?
No, I think we'll do it whether they're talking about that directly or not. I mean, you can analyze, their records, who they are, what they're saying. The fact that Gavin Newsom did an interview with Sean Hannity and is considering a debate with Ron DeSantis, I think tells you a lot. We've requested an interview with Governor Newsom and are working on a date. And, there are...
As am I, and he's very responsive. He is actually very confident about his ability to deal with you and to deal with me. He's and for good reason, Bret. He's a smart guy. He might not govern a governable state, but he's a smart guy.
Exactly. And so you give him props for engaging, and we'll see what happens. But you cover him based on what he's done and what he's doing, and then you leave the speculation to the speculation.
It's going to be a wild year. My compliments again. When you talk to Ronna McDaniel and David Bossie afterwards, they always have an after-action report. Are they happy with the way that it went? I thought it was fair. That's the number one thing you need.
I think fair is what we were looking for. Do I wish that Vice President Pence had colored within the lines? Yeah, I do. I don't know what kind of coffee he had before he got on stage, but clearly it was planned. And, I wish that it was more, civil and we didn't have to remind them about the bell and all of that stuff. There's all this after action, shut off the microphones.
You can't do that. They'll just shout.
Do it.
No, you can't do it. What about the audience? Was it too big and too noisy? I mean, it was. You had to play homeroom teacher there for a little bit, settle them down.
I was driving the station wagon, and, turning around. I'm going to turn this car around if you guys don't shut up. But I think that I would prefer a really small audience or no audience at all. I mean, I really would, but it's the RNC's ball game. And
they got to put some donors in there, but I would much prefer something around 200 to 300 people. Bret Baier, congratulations. Great first out of the gate. The campaign has begun. I appreciate it all. You spending some time with us. We'll be watching Special Report tonight at 6. The last honest news show in America is Bret Baier's Special Report. I really do believe that, so watch it.